Bill Belichick is going to be in a spot where he's going to have his pick of a litter. He's got the pick of what team he wants to be the coach of. I think in 2025, I think some teams are going to be calling for Bill Belichick. Ideal fits, I have no idea. People are predicting that they could see the Dallas Cowboys going after Bill Belichick. That will be an interesting fit.
Mhm.
Where do you see Bill Belichick coaching? What team do you think makes sense for Bill Belichick?
I think a lot of teams make sense. The first thing I want to just basically make sure
Mhm,
people know is Bill Belichick tried to get a job this
mhm.
past offseason.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
did. The Falcons, I think there were a couple more. So that's the conversation. Some people say, well, he might not want to be a head coach. That's a difference between a Nick Saban who went out and outright retired from Alabama and clearly stated his reasoning for retiring versus a Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick parted ways and they knew it just wasn't working in New England. So that's the first thing. Bill Belichick likely wants to be a head coach again. He likely wants to be in a front office, likely wants to be in an organization. So when I look at teams that he could have success, the Jets are obviously the first name that it comes out and says, hey, New York, he's got the ties to New York. I believe he coached with the Jets before. He's got an Aaron Rodgers there. I don't necessarily know if he's in it for a long-term rebuild. That's a team that I really think that it's obviously an opening. Some of these other teams that could be possible, obviously you got the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think they're another spot that I really could see a Bill Belichick going in and thriving, right? He goes in to a sunny spot in Jacksonville. He gets a franchise quarterback. And I think if I'm Bill Belichick, that's what I'm looking at. I need a franchise quarterback. I need a guy that I'm confident, hey, I don't have to go in there and work with a backup quarterback. I don't have to go in there and work with a dude that is coming off of free agency. If I'm a head coach, if Bill Belichick's 70 something years old, he's getting older. He doesn't want to go through a rebuild. So I need a franchise quarterback. And I look at that Jaguars team. I think they got a ton of pieces on that team. I think they got a ton of talent, right? You went out and you drafted Trayvon Walker. You went out and you drafted Josh Allen. You know, they've got a ton of talent on that team. And you got the franchise quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. I think they've got a lot of talent. So all around, I think that the Jaguars are a spot I could really see them thriving. And you go in with a division that isn't crazy tough. You got the Colts who are, kind of in limbo right now. You got the Titans. Once again, they don't know what they're doing at quarterback. And you got the Houston Texans. So I think the Jaguars, in my eyes, is the most appealing matchup and is the most appealing spot for me for Bill Belichick as a head coach. A couple others that I like, obviously, if we want to talk about the Saints, I just don't know if he wants to go through a complete overhaul like that. I think the Saints got a lot of cap issues. Do I see them competing in the next 2 years? No. They got Derek Carr at quarterback. I don't think that Bill Belichick wants to go there. I think the Chicago Bears are another team, right? The Chicago Bears, you step into that team and they just need a culture reshift. They need a complete rebrand when it comes to the locker room. And I like what they got going on, right? I really think that they've got a ton of talent on that defense side of the ball. And all around, they started off 5-2, Malik. This team started out hot. What's been the reason for them being on this losing skid? I really think it's the culture. You go look at Tyreek Stevenson's thing. You go look at this past week, what happened, right? A couple big time penalties and DJ Moore the past couple weeks, not being on the same page with Caleb Williams, walking off the field. I think that this team has a ton of issues. Montez Sweat was walking. It was a huge, I believe it was a third down, but they got a penalty that went to a first down. Montez Sweat was walking and got an offsides call. I think that this team truly just needs a huge culture shift. And I think that Bill Belichick could go in there and do it. And once again, if I'm Bill, I'm saying, hey, they got talent. You got a star wide receiver, Rome Odunze. You got a couple receivers, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen. You got the franchise quarterback, Caleb Williams, who is young, but he shows some serious bright spots. And then you got a talented defense, Tyreek Stevenson. You got Montez Sweat, and you got a decent amount of cap space. So if I'm the Chicago Bears, if I am the Jacksonville Jaguars, those are the two teams I'd be looking at and saying, hey, that's who I want to coach for. The rest of these teams, I mean, the Cowboys are obviously one, but I just don't know how him and Jerry Jones would clash. Um, and then the Giants are another one. If
Jaguars.
I think that,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that it's the Jaguars, the Bears. Those are the two teams I truly can see right now with how their seasons are kind of going. So
Yeah, for sure. I don't know where Bill ends up. But I know Bill probably finds himself on the sideline somewhere, and I don't believe he finds himself in a defensive coordinator or special teams role, or even a general manager role. I think he finds himself in a head coaching role. The one thing you get with Bill is stability. You get a guy that comes in already with his staff in place, and I think there's gonna be a lot of teams that are gonna be vying for that. And I don't believe that even just NFL teams will be the only teams that'll be in the mix. I think you'll have college football teams. I think you have a lot of teams that'll be in the mix looking for an addition for a Bill Belichick. You got to imagine people have already put feelers out there to a degree to see what the interest level is there. The people have talked about the Jets. I just don't know if that bridge could ever be the way he left, potentially being the New York Jets next football head coach was just abysmal. I just don't know if there's too many bridges that I don't know if that bridge can be repaired. But who knows? Aaron Rodgers and Bill Belichick have always had such a big level of respect for one another, and you got to wonder if would the organization be willing to go down that old road again, and would Bill even want to go against the Patriots? Maybe he would. Maybe he feels scorned by the Patriots. Who knows? But